Hey everybody, Chris here. There's a looming financial crisis out there despite us wanting the markets to go up, but there's cracks in the system. We're going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when new videos come out, as well as when I do live streams. And I'm live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the afternoons. So come join in on the lives. Ask your questions. We talk a lot, not only about what's happening with gold and silver, but stocks and cryptocurrencies as well, like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. So join in on the live streams. We can expand out the conversation, see what's going on. But for now, there's a lot of things that are scaring me, and you should be concerned as well, because all of these little things are all kind of stitching together. 2026 doesn't look like a good year to me. So let's get into it. Let me show you the charts and the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. And we start here with the silver chart. That's right, we're starting with silver because that's where all of the attention has been the past couple of weeks with this explosion in the price of silver. This is the daily chart up until Thursday, where it started to get rocky, even though silver did hit a price of $120. And then Friday, it was the rug pull. It was the huge pullback. $2 to $3 trillion of market cap in silver wiped out in one day. A couple weeks ago, we were all euphoric about $85 silver, and now we're scared as heck. What is going to happen Sunday night into Monday with the price of silver? We shall see. But this is just one of the cracks, right? We look at gold, similar thing, right? A couple weeks ago, gold was 4,600, 4,700, and we were all excited. Came up to $5,600 on Thursday, and then Friday dumped. And this is another like $4 to $5 trillion in market cap. Now the whole cryptocurrency market is $3 trillion. Gold was the whole cryptocurrency market, almost doubled, wiped out. And people thought, oh, gold, so too big of a market cap for any volatile move. Well, we saw it. We saw it. So this is just a couple of the little cracks that I see happening. We look at Bitcoin price at 82,700. Now, this was my prediction that I made at the end of December for the price of Bitcoin through January. I do these monthly videos, and I will do my February price prediction video for Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others that's going on. That's going to be coming out this weekend. But here we've got this move. I was predicting a relief rally. I thought Bitcoin would go up to 100K. It didn't. It made it to 98, pretty close. And then I was like, once we get up there, I thought we would bounce around a little bit and then fall back lower than where the year started. And that's where Bitcoin is now. So is this going to be similar to back in November? Are we going to bounce at the same low and then recover a bit, or is this going to continue to fall down? So Bitcoin is not holding up as well. We'll talk more about four-year cycles or not four-year cycles, the business cycle and all that in just a little bit. And we look at Dogecoin as just a little bit about alts and what's happening with altcoins, and we do see that Dogecoin has fallen lower than not only the beginning of the year, but November, and you have to go all the way back to October 10th. That's right, 10/10, when we had the big flash crash, totally manipulated. You can talk about APIs, and you can talk about, the market makers also getting wiped out, but were they all really? And big cloud over what actually happened on October 10th in the cryptocurrency market, but it has not recovered at all, and that is a challenge. While meanwhile in stocks, we can look at the S&P 500 and we can say it's still near its all-time high, and we can look at NASDAQ and it's still near all-time high. Dow Jones still near all-time high, but particularly back to the NASDAQ, this is starting to look fragile on the NASDAQ. It's starting to look fragile to me. Of course, President Trump wants to keep stocks elevated going into the midterms, but that's not till November. We got a long way to go until then. So that's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge across the market. We also had the DXY, the dollar. The dollar has been dropping. Now, we started to make a comeback here while there was uncertainty about gold and silver, while they were crashing, right, the dollar started to come back up in strength. Kind of an interesting move there, but overall we're still under $100 on the DXY, and whenever we're under that 100 mark, I'm a little worried. So what's going on with the news here while we start to look into this? Well, we start with the government shutdown. Yes, we are in a U.S. government shutdown. This just shows one of the big things about how divided the United States is right now, which of course leads to what's happening with the Department of Homeland Security, along with ICE and the Border Patrol, and everything's, the big spark plug in Minnesota happening where it's clashing, and the country's not in a great position, and that doesn't help when it comes to investing. So this is just one. So we don't know how long this government shutdown is going to last. The Senate passed a bill. Is the House going to approve it? Now the House, it's a Saturday I'm making this video, and it wasn't important enough for the House to convene on a Saturday to work this out. They're waiting until Monday, so we got a couple days at minimum. Is the House going to approve this? Or are they going to change it and send it back to the Senate, and they're going to play all these political games? Obviously, they're all going to get their little piece of what they want. That's how the U.S. government works, and that could be a while. This spending package is, again, not fully funding the government. It's delaying again through September 30th, 2026. So we wait on that. Meanwhile, the United Nations warns all 193 member states of imminent financial crisis following Donald Trump's U.S. funding cuts. Globalists are in full panic mode. So this isn't just in the United States, but it's around the world, that the ripple effects of what Trump is disrupting everything with the tariffs. That's where it started, was the tariffs. But then all of these other things going on makes for uncertainty. And the uncertainty is something the markets do not like. Meanwhile, we've got what's happening with Iran. It looks like Iran is stocking up ahead of a potential U.S. strike. It looks like something is going to be happening there. That's going to be the newest spark plug. We can talk all about Greenland, and we can talk about all these other things, but this is something that could cause a huge disruption in the world. Is it regime change again? Is the United States getting involved in something like this? We've been here before, so that's a challenge. We've got our friend Sir Doge of the coin. Remember when they tried to tell us that there were no Epstein files? Remember that? And now they're bringing out all these Epstein files, and these are like leaders of the business and financial world and all that are all wrapped up in this, including political, from Clinton to Trump, all in the, even Elon Musk. They're finding out stuff going on with these people that they were saying, oh, I had no part of this at all. Like Howard Lutnick was saying, I live next to the guy, but I had nothing to do with it. And then they find an email where he actually was like, hey, can I come over to the island? And it's just like, and I know this happened years ago, but it's all coming out now. No wonder people don't just Trump or don't trust the world leaders, right? No wonder. And now we've got this, our first bank failure of 2026. Again, these are all just signs. You stitch all this stuff together, right? Chicago's Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust becomes the first U.S. bank failure of 2026. Will there be more failures to come this year? Well, the polymarket odds were really, really low until last night, and then it spiked up. And I'll bet the next polymarket is there going to be another bank failure? And probably that number is going to start trading pretty high, because this is just the first one. This is not about one bank failing. It is about how stress surfaces once conditions tighten. Bank failures usually appear after pressure has been absorbed quietly for months. And then they tend to arrive in clusters, not as isolated events. That is so true. Again, these are just all the signs, right? So we've got silver again. Funny how people call Bitcoin too volatile for dropping 10%, while silver, the literal foundation of money for millennia, just took a 40% haircut in just a couple days. Again, These are the cracks that are happening. And of course, we've got Binance, and what's happening with Binance? You can trade gold and silver on Binance starting last week. And then we have the big crash this week. Now, I still think Binance was involved in 1010 at a much larger scale in the cryptocurrency markets than what most other people want to believe. But this is weird. I mean, this is just weird. A simple way to drop U.S. inflation would be to list inflation on Binance, because everything goes down once you get into that manipulation of what's going on there. Now, we also have with gold, right? We've got a lot of fake gold out there now. Just be careful. There's a lot of scams. This is in China. I wouldn't be surprised if there were more of these little gold bars being sold everywhere. So the scammers are out there, right? They're all trying to get money. So be very careful out there, because what happens, especially in bear markets, which I believe in, that's where the stress really comes. And not only with scammers, but also we're going to see those that have been doing a lot of lending, those who are doing borrowing, are going to be in trouble. This is 2022, starting to all over again. We just see little cracks now, but more and more of it is going to be coming. The markets are broken, Wilmar says. Look at gold and silver prices across major cities at the same time. At the same time. So this is all this paper trading now, right? You're not really buying real gold and silver, right? You're buying paper. Just like the fiat system is all paper, right? They're just printing money. It's just, inflation is huge, right? All of that. But it's happening with gold and silver too. At the same time, London was trading silver at $72 while Hong Kong was $85, a $13 gap. These are not small differences. They're massive spreads. In a normal market, this can't last. Arbitrage usually closes it fast. People ask me, hey, why are there the same prices across all of these exchanges for crypto? And it's because of arbitrage. As soon as there's a slight deviation, right, the arbitrage traders come in and they level it out. But that wasn't happening with gold and silver. The past couple days, there was these huge gaps happening. And that is big. It's not closing. It means the market isn't clearing like it should. The paper price isn't the real price anymore. The real price is where it actually settles, not good. When the precious metals do this, it screams stress under the surface. Funding gets tight, liquidity gets thin, someone gets forced, start to connect the dots, and you're like, gold and silver sit under the system as collateral. When they break, the pressure spreads everywhere. This is what's happening. We can joke about anti-Cramer, right? Cramer says to buy crypto when Bitcoin is at its peak and then collapses. Cramer says, I'm a huge gold bug when gold is over $5,000 and then it crashes. We can joke about that. I mean, there's something to that, though, right? This is FOMO, right? People just jumping on a bandwagon when something is going parabolic, which I always say don't do, right? That's not a smart thing, not financial advice, but I say that's not what I do. I'm not chasing these things on these big green candles. I buy in the dips and I buy on red, but I'm not buying anything right now, as I've said on my live streams. Eric Trump said profits will flow out of gold and into Bitcoin. Will it? Well, it did in the past 2 days. Bitcoin's down. So they're not the same kind of traders. So it's not a rotation into Bitcoin. These guys keep saying that. And of course, anything the Trumps say, I don't believe, right? They're out to make themselves rich. They don't care about anybody else. But this guy, Eric, he's been down so much. I mean, he was saying buying ETH, right, at $4,500. Like, everybody's got to buy ETH. And ETH is almost half that price now. So financially, personally, he's not doing well, right? But tighten your seatbelts. Yeah, that's true, because I don't think it's going this way. We can look at Bitcoin. And George said, like, Bitcoin shakeout sparks panic. History says this is how bull markets are built. However, this isn't the same type of financial place we were in April of 2025. This was all the tariff crisis, right? Liberation Day, all that. But then things started to settle and Bitcoin recovered. I don't think that's happening now, not in 2026. Now, we may see something like this later in the year, but right now, I think the whole situation financially is too fragile. We also have this guy, Michael Saylor, right? And he will keep saying this stuff. Every billionaire will buy $1 billion of Bitcoin. Supply shock will be so great, they'll stop measuring Bitcoin in terms of fiat. Well, that's not happening, right? He can dream all he wants. He's got huge amount of money riding on this with his MicroStrategy company, Strategy B, whatever. His average buy price is now up to like $73,000, $74,000 for Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin drops below that, be careful. Be careful what's going on. He's been doing all these games, with his preferred stock and dilution of stock and all of this stuff to create this environment because he solely believes that Bitcoin is going way up, but it's not right now. It's going down right now. And then we got Coinbase and Ripple joined the banks at the White House meeting. And what are they talking about? It's the Crypto Council hosting a summit to fix disagreements over what? Stablecoin yield. This is what the government, the United States government is talking about. They're talking about stablecoins. Stablecoins are backed by the US dollar. That's why the US government likes stablecoins. They don't like cryptocurrency. Of course, Trump will say whatever he wants about crypto to get the votes, right? They don't care about crypto. Cryptocurrencies as a currency is in competition with the US dollar. The US government doesn't care about that. They're not going to pump your crypto backs. Attendees are expected to include Coinbase, Ripple, Kraken, Circle, and top crypto trade groups. They will meet with banking giants and regulators to decide the fate of the Clarity Act, still stuck in Congress. People say, oh, Clarity Act is going to be huge for crypto. Is it? Is it really? It's really more about stablecoins, which is backed by the US dollar. That's why the US government is interested in this. And of course, we've got, Brad Garlinghouse of Ripple, right? In bed with the banks, in bed with the regulators, right? XRP is not decentralized. Brian Armstrong, Coinbase, he just wants his company to continue to grow. And if he sees the path of that being in bed with the banks and the regulators and all of that, that's what he's going to do. He's trying to build Coinbase to be much bigger than just crypto as its own independent banking giant, just like Robinhood is doing as well. That's what he's doing. He doesn't care about us, right? He doesn't care about the retail traders. So we have all that going on. Look at Ethereum's at a critical level. It's broken below the 618 fib. And this was a previous resistance level. If this doesn't hold, we could see, there's points where you start to see, okay, this is all starting to break down. And ETH is at that point. We got Ted Pellows looking at the Solana Treasury companies. So these are all these companies that were buying, crypto into a treasury, and they're all failing. We see the Dogecoin treasury companies all way down. If you owned BTOG or the Bit Origin, which did a reverse split and is like way down, and Zone, of course, we've been following that way down, and I don't think Strategy B is going to be far behind. Of course, it's much bigger, and the Bitcoin is not as volatile as Solana or Dogecoin, but the warnings are there. The warnings are all there. Now, we've got the Moon Boys, right? Here's Trader Allen looking at his Dogecoin chart saying, hey, look at the pattern. Look at this beautiful pattern here. We got the same thing happening, and we're going to take off. And he's got his chart coming up to $12. $12 Dogecoin. It's like, come on, man. He's taking the fractal from 2017 and is placing it here at 2026. I'm like, come on, man. And you get these people saying, you are the only one that puts out the best logical Dogecoin charts. Logical? This is not logical. It's not logical. So that's my take on what's going on. There's a lot more about under the scenes. We can talk about bonds and U.S. treasuries and all of that stuff. I don't focus on that, right? I focus on, because you guys don't trade bonds and treasuries, right? You trade these things. And this is where we are right now, and it's not good. So I'm just putting this out there. I'm telling you what I'm doing is I'm not buying anything right now. I do a little swing trading with some stocks, and that's it right now. Everything else, I'm waiting. I'm seeing how this all shakes out. Summer at the earliest is what I'm going to be thinking about investing. Now, if I miss something, like all of a sudden there's some grand news and especially the crypto markets take off, okay. But I'm willing to risk that based on what I see happening. These cracks are there. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Of course, we all want the markets to go up, but sometimes they don't. And all of the rules that you think are there for the markets to go up don't follow through. And you just have to be ready. So I'm just telling you what I see and what I'm doing. Be careful out there. Again, leave a comment below. Give the video a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.